Joining me now, former White House Special Advisor Michael Allen. There's going to be enormous pressure on the Europeans, on Joe Biden, to interfere and do something as that city becomes a killing field, and it's on our TV screens. I know we don't want to go fight the Russians in Ukraine. I get that. I'm not advocating for that at all. But what I'm saying is there's going to be a groundswell of emotion that's going to get really, really intense. And I don't know if our leaders have figured out how to deal with that. Do you?
Jesse, I think you're on to something. When President Biden has ruled out military force on behalf of NATO, we are limited to supplying training, equipment, and intelligence to the Ukrainians, but that might not be enough. I think what you're describing here is a siege of the major cities, and the Ukrainians aren't going to want to hear this, but I think they're going to have to shift to an insurgency if what you describe comes true, where it's less about holding territory and more about inflicting death and pain on the Russian military. If anything's clear from this invasion, the Russians badly miscalculated. This was not enough troops from Putin to hold the country. It might not even be enough to hold certain major cities. I expect the Ukrainians to continue to fight, but it may be less about holding ground and more about direct assaults on the Russian soldiers.
I think you're right. They're going to have to calculate when to move it into an insurgent phase. And it's going to get difficult to arm this resistance when all these cities are choked off. You can't funnel weaponry in. And that's going to become dicey. What happens if the Russians open fire on a convoy that's being escorted by contractors, by, Italian contractors? Anything could happen. That could trigger something that no one wants to think about.
You're right. No one wants to think about it. We do have secret overland supply routes coming in from Poland. I don't know, but I assume that they are not NATO forces or people associated with NATO countries. I have a feeling they're Ukrainians and others. And so, but you're right, it's a dicey situation.
All right, very dicey situation. Michael, thank you so much for coming on Jesse Watters Primetime. So again, we find ourselves in a similar situation as we